So let's talk about this as like hip hop, and it's essentially two arguments. It's the strong arm method, ideally saying that hip hop itself is better in the states than it is in other places. And this concept sounds interesting, right? And it sounds interesting from that perspective, which I would love to talk about, right? But let's get into this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Casey Things podcast, where we talk music, pop culture, history, and apparently, different rap battles, essentially. And so let's kind of talk. I think we're going to talk about this Joyner Lucas versus Skep thing, right? And so let me say this by also saying, let's kind of include that in there, right? I think essentially if we're having this conversation and we're talking from, I think this is the thing, right? And I think we'll never get a response from Storms or whoever like response from Little Simz, of talking about this issue that has apparently been pushed by so many people. And I don't know, like I'm in a point where we read comments, right? And I read Big Smoke's. Essentially, what do you call it? I'm gonna clash an American artist, an American rapper anyway. I'm about to get this UK. Okay, this is the thing. I think this debate is great, right? I think this debate on which one is better, right? Like I would love to have this debate on who we think is. I don't know. I think if we have this debate on who's essentially better, it becomes this conversation, right? I think this is the thing, and people will probably get back into this, but it's essentially this argument. Essentially, the idea is that grime or UK rap essentially is Central C, and I would argue that it's not, right? I would essentially argue that it is not Central C, and that it also, with that same demeanor, is not UK rap is not Kendrick, right? Or it is not Joyner Lucas in this aspect or in this regard. But I don't know if anyone has a response, right? Like this is the conversation. I think there are a few artists in which I think, if we got them to respond, I think it would be great, right? I think essentially it would be great to hear people respond on this topic in the UK and US, right? Of who has better rap albums, and this is essentially becoming this idea, but essentially becoming from the idea that we have Little Simz, Lotus album. I'll talk about her so she's currently going to record in other situations versus Joyner's album, right? And this what promote album sales for either artist. But this is the thing. I wonder if this will lead to a style of rap or a culture in which we are arguing essentially who has the better lyrics. And so I was expecting the UK to come out first. I was expecting the States to come forward. Especially with Joyner Lucas, I was expecting Murder Movement. I was expecting battle rappers to come out and kind of like get in this conversation, get with it, right? Young Thug, Murder Move, Lotus Lux. I'm expecting battle rappers to get in this, or Arsenal to get in this, right? Ideally to get into this rap battle, to get this grind, to go in and get Stormy or Wiley in it, and that's a little messy. Let's be fair, that's a little messy. But can you imagine the atmosphere of hearing this UK versus American beat? And if we go grind versus hip hop, or if we go and just think of this as a sport, I could not imagine, hearing a diss response from somebody like Lotus Lux or Turf, right? So this would be interesting to me, like from the battle rap scene to grind, or somebody in drill music in the UK versus somebody in drill music in the States. Like this would be very creative how we determine music, right? But I get that the aspect, or the idea that in the States or in Americas, they don't like the UK accent, which are a lot of country accents, and because I'm an EU. But like essentially, it would be great to hear these conversations. We get Dave, Little Simz to argue that conscious rap, right? Like a conscious rap. That'd be great, right? But if we have Storms, J Hush, right, doing that drill thing, that grind, oh, that'd be great. Oh, this kind of rap is something where if you pick your teams, oh, this would go great. But no, because I do think if we go picking teams for teams, I think there's only one way I'm doing it, right? There's essentially only one way I'm doing this, and that's either the UK teams are set for conscious rap, and Dave versus Little Simz, or then J Hush and Stormzy, Wiley. Like this is the thing, right? But Wiley has come out and said, are we serious about this conversation? And to his point, I get it, right? Are we seriously having a conversation about where people belong, where they insist to be? And people are having real issues in both of these kind of countries, right, or these regions, right? And this is the conversation we want to have about who is better at a certain genre to get the debate started, right? Like there are ways to have this debate. I would love if there's an English writer, there's a UK podcaster, or somebody anybody want to have this conversation. I would love to, because I think essentially you're arguing grime versus American hip hop, because you're not arguing battle rap. I think each country has their battle rap, fine. I think if we go to France, which I did bonjour, CJ, right? CJ. I think this would be, I think this would be interesting, right? For people that aren't don't listen to music culturally across different regions, or how they sound differently in the EU than they sound to the States, I think this would be interesting, right? Because you could go, there's a lot of ways you can go with this battle, and I think Joyner, I want to say Big Smoke and Joyner are maybe not the two people I would love to go in a battle with and hear people rap, but I think Joyner really could go great, and we're still waiting on response from Joyner, and so it'll be interesting, right? It'll be interesting to hear and see what we actually hear from a person like Joyner in response to Friendly Fire. And with their freestyles, I thought it was going to turn into something. It did not. So if these freestyles turn into something, the songs were released. I'm still waiting for a response from Friendly Fire, which is interesting because if you look at this Friendly Fire, it says that boy not hot, and I think that's a response to, what was it, Big Jack? Was it Big Jack? I think it was Big Jack, right? When he said man's not hot, and then that Wolfie battle. Check the statistics. Anyway, it's this is the kind of energy in hip hop across, like, I love to see this kind of like this kind of battle, but I think there are some lines we have to be respectful, right? Um, we have to kind of be respectful and not make a single aspect of like rap because it is a sport. Hip hop is a sport in a sense. Um, or rap is essentially a sport, but there are ways to do this productively, right? Like you've seen battles get out of hand with 50 Cent. We've seen battles go brutal, like Eminem and Nick Cannon or Cannabis or Jack the Ripper. This could go well. Like this really could go well, but everyone has to remember that this is rap, and then um, no allegations, right? Because I think this is the thing. Depending on how we break this team up, I think it's very this can be the best debate in the world of who's the better artist across the states, right? That means we have artists like Young Thug, Big Smoke. We have artists like J Cole. They did songs in like the UK region of London. You know, like this could be great. Like this ideally could be great. It is interesting though, right? Because like if you hear the concept of this and you go, who's better, the UK or the US? And I think the US in itself or the states thinks that they're better in certain genres of rap, and that may be fine. And a lot of you don't like the accent the same way. My particular feelings about the 808 have been addressed multiple times, but it's this concept of if you hear it and you break it down and you essentially break these two things apart. It is essentially who's better. Is the 808 better, or is the UK's alternative to the 808 better? Right? This is essentially the creation of something in which people want to see, but they're not aware that they know that they can't see. And so it's great. Like it's great to see. I don't know if it's fun, but it's essentially be a great battle to see. We're also going to talk about a few other things, and so that's that part. And so we're going to talk about a few things. And essentially, we talked about the UK versus American, which I think will be interesting. If Joanna drops Sunday, I don't think it's dropping Sunday, but it drops Sunday. I will be having live to record that. But let's talk about this Wireless Fest, right? This Wireless Fest while we're in the UK London region. Let's talk about Wireless Fest. Wireless Fest, for day one anyway, has been interesting, right? We've seen Drake bring out Giveon, Lauryn Hill. We've seen who Drake's brought out for the first, right? And so the second night, you can only imagine it'll be great. The third night, it'll be interesting because Drake has a catalog, right? But let's be fair. Cartel's on that list. So we're playing here at reggae, kind of like dance hall, right? But it's also interesting because you don't necessarily know where they're gonna go with it, but I think everyone has an idea where they're gonna go with this. So that's fun. That's very interesting to hear. So we see Giveon Lauryn Hill, which that Lauryn Hill being sampled, or like just her having fun on Wireless is something I didn't expect. If you would ask me who was a special guest at Wireless, I would have said that maybe Giveon, right? Because the Chicago freestyle is one of those freestyles which it's still being played today, and that's on the Dark Demo tapes, right? So it's an interesting choice. I know no parties on it, right? So Cardi being one is essentially great. But it's an interesting sell list. It really is, because the next 2 days, depending on what that sell list is, could determine how we're seeing. But let's be fair. If they had did a local UK artist, I think it would have been great. Like if they had did Little Simz, if they had did Stormzy, David, Central C, if they had made one of those headlines for 3 days, I think I could understand, right? But at the same time, it's 3 days too much. We'll see. I mean, it's not essentially a lot, but it is a lot to perform. So, let me say that. If anyone goes to Wireless Fest, I hope you enjoy. Be safe, be responsible. But let's talk about, I feel weird talking about this because essentially the argument in itself, right? The argument in itself is ideally that it's, okay, give me 1 minute. I think the conversation becomes, and I don't know, I don't know what to draw, but I think there's a way to handle that trial, which I don't know what it is right now. So let's talk about Drake's Iceman album. That's apparently supposed to drop before the end of the summer, which I don't think that's happening unless he drops it this week or next week. Because that'll be July. People go back to school in August. Some people go back to school in September. But August is that alternative deadline, right? So we're going to listen to albums. Let's talk about the Iceman, though, right? Because the Iceman, from my understanding, what I originally thought the Iceman was. And so let me be clear. I have a weird knowledge of people calling himself Iceman. I thought originally it was the mob's Iceman, right? Where he's wounded, but he also knows he has to kind of change something up. But you know, it's also a company. It's also like a company. So it's interesting to me where he goes. Because essentially, we can go to Chuck Norris. It's a fighter. But essentially, he's gone to the Iceman. So there's 3 alternatives to the Iceman. I don't know where he wants to go. But if he goes with what have I missed? I don't know where he goes with. Like, I think alternatively, he's going to go for that boxing reference. I get it, but there's a way to make the Iceman more presentable to people that don't really care about rap, and I don't know if he does this or not. I don't know. It's weird because I think you can have a conversation, and so I think you can have a conversation about who's the better artist. But I think the conversation is difficult. You know what? Just for a little bit of fun, I think I'm gonna have some fun. So this is interesting because I'm gonna talk about the clips out a little bit later. But I do want to talk about this. So give me 1 minute. Let's talk about. I'm talking about two, and they're both interesting to me. I do apologize. But let's talk about the FFL freshman cover, or that freestyle that used to be so famous in 2016, 2015, 2014. I think artists like Dottie, Designer. So many people won that freshman cover, and it was like a kind of passage for an artist that went to make a mainstream because you get label deals and stuff like that. So let's talk. I think essentially, I do think that freshman cover is great. I think that promoting. The problem is you have to stand out, and that means you have to do another cadence and another flow. You may have to be a little more conscious when you rap. And essentially, I don't think we have conscious rap. Like we have conscious rap. We have enjoy. There's really a lot to get into. But I haven't heard anything from the freshman cover essentially that I like. I need that, right? It's interesting. I'm gonna listen back, but I don't think there's anything from the freshman cover, and I don't know if the freshman cover is still important as it was with the source, right? The source was, I think, it died off. Freshman cover. It was the source, then it was the freshman cover, then it was so many different things. And so I wonder with the popularity of mainstream media if that's kind of just killed it, right? Like if social media has killed the freshman cover. And I don't know. To me, I think it has. but because the same idea is that if you blow up SoundCloud or if you blow up on these other labels and you're having these conversations with these people, you understand that there's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and at the same time, when you can cut the middleman or cut marketing budgets and go to other people to promote songs, I don't know if it, especially in the States. But let's talk about my last and kind of favorite topic right now. It is the top 5 diss tracks of all time. Okay, and this is a weird list because people are like, oh, how was not like us on that list? It's good. Okay, so we're gonna go from no specific order. I'm gonna go Creeping Low by Beanie Siegel. I'm gonna go Creeping Low for number 5. I'm going 4. I'm going no, I don't want to do that. That's early. Cannabis is not KO for number 4. Jadakiss is Problem Child. I'm sorry. Jadakiss Problem Child is number 3. Number 2 would have to be Ether. I think 2 would have to be Ether. No, yeah, see, I think Nas's Ether is powerful, but I also think Jack the Ripper from Cool J was impactful, right? Like these two, depending on where you consider yourself in hip hop, it kind of depends on what you pick. And to me, Jadakiss's Problem Child and Response to 50 Cent is one of the better songs. But one, I want to go Tupac, but I don't know. It'd be easier to list where it's not my top 5. So I'm not going Kill Shot. I'm not going Not Like Us in the top 5. I'm just not. Trying to think. I think Black Belt might be up there, but I don't necessarily know. I want to say Beans and Cameron's Response to Jay is not on there. I like Warning Shot, but I don't think it. I like Average Cat, but that doesn't seem modern enough. Because Average Cat by Beans Eagle and Freeway sound great sonically. It sounds like one of the greatest discs I've ever heard. But I don't know. I think Ether is number 2. Number 1. I don't know. I think Average Cat from the Rock Boys is great. It's good, but I don't know if it's last call good. Where Kanye West and Jay-Z go at it. I don't know if that's Exilius by Pusha T. Madonna's. That's not on there. Okay, so we're not going Meet the Grams. We're not going anything that current battle Euphoria is not on that top 5. It may be top 10, but it's not on top 5. Push Shot's not on that list. Kill Shot's not on that list. Warning Shot's not on that. Warning Shot's not on that list. I'm trying to think who is actually on this list top 1. Hit him up. Because I think On Wax is good. We'll for response to On Wax, so I don't really know if I can count On Wax. Hit him up on this. Who? You know what? That's what I do. I will do Ether's number 1. Jadakiss' Prime Child is number 2. Super Ugly is number 3. 4 will be. I think 4 would be. Who was my 4? It was a Cannabis' KO, and then 5 would be. Would it be Jack the Ripper? Probably. Okay, well that's an interesting list though. I think Ether. So we have Nas, we have Jay, we have Nas, we have Jay, we have Average Cat, Beanie Siegel, we have Cannabis, Jadakiss, and El Kodak. Yeah, so El Kodak, Nas, Jadakiss, Beanie Siegel. No, that's not a bad. That's a tough list, but it's not a bad list, like rap wise. But like a top 5 or something like that. Yeah. You know what? Oh, yeah. Yeah, what I'll go away off the list. I'll come back to it probably a bit next episode. But I think when you talk about episodes, there's not like it's weird. Because you get conversations and you never know where they're gonna go, but you kind of have an idea. I don't know. With that being said, let me know how you feel. I think essentially, I don't know. Like I don't know. Right? Like I think that's you know what? Actually, let's bring this conversation up quick. Let's talk about Drake's ability of what we're seeing. We're seeing in the celebrated phase where we're doing 2 songs so far, which is he did 1 song, saying that he still thinks he's the best with the Streets of Soft, and so that Ether was better. And so we're hearing that kind of run. Wasn't that on the Ruler of the Black album by Jay-Z? It was one of them. Anyway, where he just kind of talks about the situation that's currently going on, and Nas that conversation. It is interesting though, right? Like we're seeing this at an accelerated rate, which we've never seen before. But I don't know, it's interesting, right? Because it's like why release 2 songs if What Did I Miss is the single cover for the Iceman? Where's the Iceman? Right? There's no pre-order for the Iceman. Where's the Iceman? Where's the release date? Because it hasn't released in 2 weeks, and so where's the release date? You said we're blasting for the summer, so where's the release date? Because what we're having is Gates dropping. We have Ryan the Scientist dropping the 22nd of August. Cardi B dropping an album. So Drake, who are you dropping with? Because this is essentially, if you drop on a Kevin Gates drop, that's fine. But you have to outdo Kevin Gates, which isn't necessarily hard to do, but you kind of have to do it. If you stop on a Clips release, which I mean, honestly, I thought you were going to drop a Clips release, but there's no sign that you're going to drop something release. So essentially, we're waiting for when you're going to drop the Iceman because of him. You have to make the music on the Iceman, but you have to let people know when you're dropping the Iceman because you're at Wireless Us this weekend. So I apologize. But like, when are you going to drop it? And that's the overall conversation of when are you going to drop it. So with that being said, I do hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. I wish I didn't know CJ, and with that all being said, hope that you listen to the next episode, but also hope you listen to this current episode. With that being said, hope you enjoy.